Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Phoenix Rise podcast. I'm so happy to have you with us. So this is the place where we talk all things spirituality and success, mindset, business, spiritual world, everything combined, because you don't have to choose one or the other. This is the place where you don't have to sacrifice. You get to have it all because you are worthy of it all. And I'm still on a roll at the moment with interviewing and having on these amazing powerhouse women guests who are also part of this incredible Women Thrive Summit that I'm speaking at next year. So today we have got the beautiful Megan. Megan, would you please introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, everyone. So, yes, I am Megan. You may call me Megs. Most people that know and love me call me Megs. So I don't know why, but that's just where I seem to fall into. And I am an identity and alignment coach. I live on the beautiful Gold Coast in Australia. And yeah, I love to talk about all of those things. So I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I love it. Makes I'm always like, do I need to be formal?
Not with me, babe. You just be you. Free to be you.
Just be you. I absolutely love what you do. So we're streaming live on Instagram at the moment. So hi to everyone. And if you're watching this, hi to you all as well. Now, as ever, we've nothing planned. We've not rehearsed what we're going to talk about. We've got a loose topic of the identity because I absolutely love this topic, right? And it's something that I'm passionate about and I teach to my clients as well. So I think let's start here. Let's dive into how you ended up in this world doing what you do now, and maybe tell us a bit about your story and what got you here.
Gosh, we only have
like the condensed version, right?
I'm older than I look. But let me kind of start with, I guess, like I started out as a hairdresser. So I was very young. I started out as a hairdresser working with people very closely. We've all been to the hairdresser, right? We all know we tell them everything. So I feel like that's where my coaching journey began, but it's definitely where my love or my fascination for human behavior began. And I was somebody who I was so quiet. You couldn't get a word out of me when I started that journey. I was very timid, very shy, very high anxiety. And the reason for that is because I was somebody who was always trying to please everybody around me. I was the ultimate people pleaser as a child and as a young adult. And as I got older, this really showed up as me just trying to create this perfect life, or this picture of perfectionism. And so that's kind of where I started. That's my kind of, I don't know, that the big rock underneath that people don't see, the part that I've overcome. And that was the identity that I lived inside of for a really long time. And what I found is as I got older, as I became a mum, like trying to hold that picture together, there's a lot of things that can go wrong and a lot of challenges that you get thrown, right? And I got to 40 and I was exhausted all the time, like trying to hold up this picture of perfection and trying to have the perfect relationship and the perfect, children. And like it was exhausting holding that all together because I didn't feel like that on the inside. And so I just found myself one day just not having a clue what I was going to do about this feeling. I didn't understand why I didn't like my life when I tried so hard to make it as perfect as possible.
And on the outside, it's like everyone thinks
100%. Anyone looking in being like, oh, you've got the perfect relationship and you're such a great mom and you always look amazing. And it's exhausting holding that together when that's not how you really feel. And so I tell you that part of my story because the unraveling from there to now, I'm 45 now. Got to give
By the way, anyone watching this video, you would not believe that makes us 45. I mean, I just said to her,
I'm only 46. I'm halfway to 46.
Honestly, she looks not a day over 35. About that.
The unraveling, though, from where I was at there to where I am now has been the journey. And the learning that's come from that and the work that I have had to, we talk about the work a lot, and I'll get into that in a second, but the work that I've had to do to get to where I am now, like my life is a 180 compared to what it was before. I'm in an amazing it's not that new now. We've been together for well over a year, but I'm in an amazing relationship with an amazing guy who loves me for who I am. There's no pretense. There's no pretending. It's just so super authentic and free. I'm doing this amazing work. I'm chatting with you. Like I could not be in a more different position. And so that's the journey that I feel like we all go on at points in our life, where we just find ourselves living inside of this identity that just isn't us. And it breaks open eventually, and putting that back together or rediscovering who you are on the other side of those challenges is where I come in. So, I feel like we need to rediscover the parts of us that are actually real, like the true core of who we are. And we are going to be the sum of all the things that we've been through, right? Like all those things are not for naught. I wouldn't change any of it, because I'm here and I'm me. But all those things make me who I am. But how do they fit in? And what does that identity, what language can I give that? What are the things that are most important to me, my values? What am I good at? All those things we uncover. I've uncovered, and I help other people uncover that part of their identity. And when they feel like they know themselves and love themselves, like that's the most important relationship that we have. Is our relationship with ourselves. We've got to spend every waking and sleeping moment with ourselves. So if you don't like that, that's really not a good place to be, right?
Yeah.
So now I have a great relationship with who I am. I have great relationships in my life because of that, because you are a reflection of, how you feel about yourself is reflected out from you. And so then the second piece to that, so that's the identity piece. The second piece to that is the alignment piece. So what I've had to do is literally in every area of my life, align my life to who I am. And there's a process around that. And it's an unraveling and a letting go and all the things. Yeah. But the result is now I get to freely be me. And I mean, that's what my business is called, right? Freed to be me. But it's on the other side of doing that inner work. And then that's a constant recalibration, realignment as life goes on. I'm only halfway through, right? Yeah. I spend the rest of my life to learn how to constantly get to know yourself every single time where something happens, or, it's not like nothing's ever going to happen to you again. So yeah, you're going to shift, you're going to change. Hopefully we don't have an identity crisis like I did. Not too many. But now I know what to do. And so the most important thing to understand, I guess, from everything I've said is that whenever I feel like I'm out of alignment, I know how to get back into alignment. And that's what I really like to help people understand, that it's okay to have chaos. It's okay. Things are going to happen, but they happen for you. And you know how to realign yourself. You can get back on track.
I absolutely love that. There's so many places that I want to take this conversation.
Sorry, I know that was a big answer.
No, but it's so amazing because it resonates so much with my own journey. And I think, obviously you work particularly with women kind of in their midlife crisis, let's say, or, that kind of shift into who they are in the next chapter. Yeah. But I think, that can happen to us through our lives. So for me, we were talking before we came on, I said I actually had like a quarter life crisis. I remember it because so for me, I was in employment at the time. I was working for someone else, but I had known for all of my life that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And yet I found myself stuck in a job. And I was like, I hit 25 and I just remember thinking like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I was like, this is not what I'm meant to be doing. This is not in alignment with what I'm here to do. And I probably had like a meltdown. I was like, oh my God, like my time is running out. I need to get my ass in gear. But actually it was the catalyst to shift things up and to actually start my first business and then kind of find who I was as an entrepreneur. So I think these things are sent to be that transformation, right? To be that kind of pivot point, that moment in time where we say, okay, let's check in with where we're at here. Is this what we want to do with our lives? Is that something you come across a lot?
Yeah. Well, it's is this what I want to do, or is this who I want to be with, or any version of everything, anything in between? Yeah, absolutely. We do have these transition points or these crossroads. And I love what you said there about like what the fuck am I doing? Like that is literally how I felt in that moment.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a moment in time where, I mean, there was a lead up to it, obviously, but there's definitely that moment where I was just like, meltdown. And what do you do in that at that point? Well, you have to get real with yourself.
Yeah.
And most of us, it sounds like you did too, we make these rash choices in the moment and then maybe, realize that we probably could have done things differently, but that's what happens. And so what I like to help people do, or when I come across this, is if you know what's important to you, what you want to move towards, what you want to align with, then that becomes almost like your compass for getting back in the direction you want to go.
That North Star, right? It's knowing.
Yeah, it's the North Star. Like that's what you want. That's what we need to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
But we also need to understand the things that are going to help us move towards it. And in my opinion and in my experience, it's really understanding what is it that makes you you? Why do those things make you you? Like, why are those things important to you? Like really anchoring that down into something that's so unique to you and your journey, because we all have a different journey. We all respond to things differently. And that's what makes us unique. And I've just found that when we can really anchor that in to a moment in time where that became important, why that became important, then you see it, like it's like seeing yourself for the first time.
I love that. I would love to do
what you like want to move more, or have more of.
Yeah, I love that. I kind of talk about it as like peeling off the layers of the onion, right? And it's like over our lives, we add on all of these layers of identities that aren't really ours, for wanting to fit in, for wanting to be accepted, for wanting to be the cool one, or whatever kind of scenario you're in your life.
Yeah.
You mold yourself and you take on these traits that aren't really you, but you take them on, and then over repetition and over time you forget that they weren't really you in the first place, and you keep them up, and then you end up in this place, like you said, in this moment where you suddenly realize I'm not happy. But it's understanding that that's why, because you're not actually being you, you're being all of these false identities that you've added on over the years. I know I definitely experienced that. Is that something that you did as well?
Yeah. And that's what I was saying before about this people-pleasing tendency. I know so many people feel that way. We just want to, we enable a lot of the things that we don't like in others by trying to keep the peace, or trying to be good enough was my story, right? So it's like uncovering that story, like what is driving that behavior to want to please. This is what I had to do, right? Why do I want to please other people more than myself? Why is it so easy for me to push myself to the side and make that person happy? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still somebody who likes the people in my life to be happy. I'm still somebody who naturally likes to put a smile on someone else's face and make them feel good. But that's not the thing. It's what's driving that behavior. What was driving that behavior was something that was not healthy for me. Now, when I do it because I want to and because I can.
And you're not pushing yourself to the bottom of the pile. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll never do it at the expense of myself.
Yeah.
And so it's super important for us to really uncover where that behavior comes from and like clear that out. And the other thing, just quickly, came up while you were talking there, is most of us look outside of ourselves to try and figure out who we are. We're like, oh, I like that, or I like what they have, or I'd like more of that. And that's why you can never, again, in my experience, it's difficult to put together a list of values on your own. Yeah, we can go and we can choose the ones that we'd like to say we have or we are, but to really get to the bottom of who you actually are is a different process altogether, because it takes going in. So I mentioned before about the work, right? Everyone talks like, you got to do the work, you got to do the inner work, or they haven't done their work. Like, do you know what I mean? Well, what work? What is that? What does it even look like? And for me, it's about unpacking the big, fat, ugly, heavy backpack that we all carry around with all the shit in it that doesn't serve us anymore. We actually have to unpack that, right? And then have a look what's there. Like, what is actually not me?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's easier to ask or easier to answer, is like, what don't I want? What isn't me? That is not me.
Yeah.
That's easier than deciding what it is you do want. Sometimes that's a good place to start for people, but we still need to unpack it. And so we unpack it, we look at it, we pull it apart, and we rescue the value that's in there. We rescue those values from that past, from the backpack. And then we only put back what we want in there. We only put true bits in there, the real parts in there, the parts that make us feel good, or the parts that serve us moving forward. And guess what? That's going to be a hell of a lot lighter to carry from now on.
Yeah, you're not cramming it all in, bursting at the seams.
Yeah. So we're not look out. And we live in this world where we're constantly consuming as well. So we live in this world where we're constantly consuming content from other people who are only showing their highlight reels anyway. They're not showing you all the vulnerable parts. We're getting a bit better at that, in our space perhaps. But generally speaking, the people that we look up to, they're only showing, the good parts. They're not airing their dirty laundry. So we go, oh yeah, I'd like to be like them, or I want a bit of this and I want a bit of that. But is that even you?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's definitely something that I fell into with social media, especially, is that you fall into that trap of seeing other people live the life that you want. And they're all different, right? All these people have different traits. So you're like, okay, well, maybe I need to take a bit of that trait. Maybe I need to take a bit of that trait. Maybe that trait. And again, you end up adding all of these things to your own identity that aren't yours in the first place. And actually, you don't need them, because you are perfect exactly as you are. You have your own superpowers inside of you. They're not meant to be mimicked to anyone else. They're just yours. But we can just feel like, well, that's what's missing from me, or this is why I'm not succeeding, because I haven't got that, whatever it is that someone else has got. And then we just feel like that's the missing piece to my jigsaw. But I think what we end up doing is we end up building a whole new jigsaw that isn't even ours in the first place. Right?
Yes.
And then you're carrying that in your backpack, and it's like, that's not that you're meant to be living.
Yeah. And you know what then happens? And this is something that I am going to be talking a lot about it in my talk at the summit, like we said before, is that then we start feeling like an imposter.
Yes. Yeah.
So I believe that feeling, right, there's two things that drive that. One is that you may just actually be a beginner.
Yes.
And you may just actually need to start where you're at and be okay with that. But also layered on top of that is this need to be something you're not, or be more in order. Like, it's like that whole fake it till you make it. Yes, there's a place for that, but not if you're not being you.
Yes.
And the thinking is that when you are you and when you are authentic, it's a much easier, more free and more fluid place to be and way of being. And I don't know about you, but when you're around somebody who's authentic and they're just being themselves and they're not really caring about what anyone thinks of them, they're just being them, it gives you permission to be the same. And this is why I believe I have the relationship that I have now. It's because when we met, I was like, I was so done with dating. I was so over it. all. I was like, I am just going to be me. And if I have to be on my own for the rest of my life, I'm still going to be happy being me.
Yes. And that's so,
and so you meet somebody,
isn't it?
so that he actually fell in love with that. So now I get to be that all the time. So the same way, it's like if you just be you, then you're going to attract the people who love that.
Exactly. And this is what we talk about a lot, about having your authentic voice, having your authentic messaging, being truly you, because that is when you're most magnetic. That's when you attract the people that you're actually here to help, not the people that complain about your prices, or not the people that don't like that you swear, or not the people that don't like that you don't dress up every day to go on camera. It's you will attract your people because they love your authenticness. They love that about you. They love your uniqueness. And when you're not being true to that, you're attracting the wrong people. And that's why you're not happy. If you're in that situation, that's why you're not happy with the clients that you're getting, or with the people that are coming into your orbit, because they're not meant for you. they're meant for someone else.
Yeah, but then you have to keep up the pretense, right? Then you have to keep being that in order for that to keep bringing you whatever level of success you're getting, which is probably not what you want anyway. But even if you are getting some sort of success from that, your imposter is going to be louder than ever. Your inner imposter, right? It's going to be louder than ever. And so you're going to be fighting that. And then you're going to be fighting how you feel about it. And it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
100%.
So I believe that the better relationship that you have with yourself and the more that you know yourself, you're not going to want to be anyone else, because it's just so easy to be you.
Exactly. I love it. I love this. So what would be maybe 3 top tips that you would give to our listeners to start maybe unpacking some of this extra baggage that they've got in that backpack?
Unpacking the backpack. Well,
I love that. I'm totally having that.
Yeah, okay, no, that's a good one. I haven't been asked it in that way before. I think the first thing you have to do is just acknowledge the fact that you have one at all. Like, you have taken on an identity that does not feel authentic, and that is why you feel that way. So I just think even just realizing that, acknowledging it and being okay with it is probably like the first step. The second thing I would say is you've got to get out of your own head. So one of the very first things that I did was I got a journal, like a book, right? One that I wanted to write in, like a nice book and a pen, and I kept it. I hate journaling. I'm still not that great about it, right? I mean, I love it now. I hated it then. Back then, I hated it. Now I'm okay with it. I'm still not that amazing at it, but I still do it because I know that this really helped me. Yeah. So everyone's like, oh, journal, like I wouldn't know what to write. Doesn't matter. Just write whatever you're thinking or write whatever you're feeling, but just open the backpack and let it pour out. Let it come out, because you get to then actually read your own words, and there's a lot of power in that, because while it's going around there and you're having the conversation with yourself and with the imposter that's in there and all the things, like it's not going to be healthy. But once you write it down, sometimes you can just even see the ridiculousness of what you're writing and be like, well, okay, that needs addressing, but it's just getting it out of your head. Get out of your head. And then the third thing I would say is that you need to be around people who are going to keep you on the journey. Because one of the things that I've found is when you start choosing yourself and when you start doing this work, it's not easy. It's not easy. And you're going to want to step back into your comfort zone and back into what you know. And you're going to face things that you don't, or look at things from your past that perhaps you don't want to look at. So the best thing you can do is to get around people who are also on that journey, or the people that are going to move you forward. And that's why I love community, especially with women, right? That's why I love women coming together and raising each other up and moving each other forward and encouraging. And we need that. We need that.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely love that. I love that. So 3 tips. So the journaling, the community, and what was the first one?
Just unpack it.
Awareness. Yeah. Realize.
Awareness. Be aware.
You've
be like, yeah, I need to do this. I need to just acknowledge the fact and be okay with the fact that you are where you're at and that the work needs to be done. Yeah, that's the first step.
And this is, for everyone listening, this is a human experience, right? We all take on these extra traits. We all carry this backpack around. And even when you're doing the work, even when you are aware, even when you're a coach, even when you're in this world, it happens. And it's not an overnight fix, you know, it's an ongoing awareness. It's an ongoing kind of reevaluation, and it's an ongoing almost cycle of rebirth, right? It's okay, this is this chapter. And then you have another chapter, you grow, you evolve, you expand, and you step into the new again. And that's normal. That's part of life. That's part of growth. That's part of what we're here to do, to evolve, right? And I think it's just realizing that this doesn't change overnight. This doesn't mean that you've failed or that, you know, you've somehow become this person that you're not meant to be, and you know that makes you a bad person, or that, you know, it's not about judging yourself. It's about understanding that this all happened for a reason. You're now listening or watching this podcast for a reason, because you're ready to change it. You're ready to start doing the work, you know, that work that we've been talking about, actually starting to take it seriously and starting to say, is this the life that I really want? Or is it time to reevaluate? Is it time to change? And is it time to realign with my core values, with my truth, and with that North Star? So I absolutely love this conversation, Megs. This has been so amazing. Thank you so much. And where can, we'll put it all in the show notes, but where can people find you?
Well, I tend to hang out on Insta. I don't know why, it's just the platform. So you can find me there. You can also find me on Facebook, but it's just Freed with a D to be you. So pretty much if you put that into a platform, I'll come up. And I also have a podcast as well, which I'm loving this conversation. So we'll have to continue it over there. And it's also called Free to Be You. So you can also get to know me a little bit more there. But yeah, I'm super stoked to have the space to be able to share this, because as you can see, it's something that you're passionate about. We're both passionate about it. And I think that women need to understand that it's okay. It's okay to feel that way, and that you can move through it and feel better about you and fall back in love with you.
Yeah, you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay feeling how you're feeling. Like, you can always change. You always.
We're not a tree.
Yeah.
Not rooted to the ground. We can.
I'm not going to go on any longer, but if there's one thing that like really frustrates me, and I don't know if frustrates is the right word, like it saddens me really, is when you kind of see or meet people and they're so stuck in their fixed mindset. And you can see that they're not happy. You can see that they don't like themselves. They don't have a good relationship with themselves, but they're just not willing to change. And that saddens me the most. So hopefully, if you're listening to this, it's because you know that you can change. It's because you know that is your prerogative, always. And not just once. You can change over and over and over again.
They can share this podcast or share this conversation with those people in their life, because you cannot make a horse drink the water. You can lead them there.
I know.
But that's why I love this. I think it's just bringing awareness to the conversation and to those that need it. So
100%. That's so amazing. Thank you so much. So we'll put all of the details in the show notes below. So if you're driving or anything, don't panic. You can find Megs below. And one last parting piece. What would you like to leave our listeners with?
Well, it's the thing I leave my listeners with as well. And that is like, if you cannot give yourself permission, I give you permission. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. So it's time to be you, be the real you.
Be free to be you.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much, Megs. And until next time, guys, I shall see you all very soon.